Hey everyone, welcome to another repair video. Today we're going to be working on this Xbox One S which has been sent in, and this particular console has been sent in because it has absolutely no power at all. So according to the customer, this is completely and utterly stone dead. The customer has explained that he was playing it one day and it started beeping and went off, and then he went to play it again after college and it just wouldn't come on at all. So a little bit interesting, a little bit strange how it would randomly die like that, but never mind, we'll try and figure it out. So the good news is this console has not been opened at all by anyone, so I'm going to be the first one in this. The customer actually only lives, I think it's about 3 streets away from me, which is always nice, makes it nice and simple. So what we're going to do first, we're going to try and turn it on, see what happens. We get nothing. Completely stone dead. Okay. Right, okay, so absolutely nothing when we try and plug it in then. So let's take it apart and see if we can figure out what's wrong, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, we can fix it. Okay, so the motherboard's out now then. So what I want to do before I go ahead and take this heatsink off is I want to try and see if we get any kind of fan spin when we plug in the power. Because sometimes on these consoles, when we first plug in power, we get kind of like a quarter fan spin. And that gives us some indication of whether there's any life at all in this or not. It doesn't always happen. Okay, I didn't hear a sizzle when I plugged this in. You know, that little electrical discharge sizzle. Didn't hear a sizzle with the power supply. So let's try another power supply. I could just use the multimeter and check, but nah. Where's the fun in that? Right, okay, so I heard the sizzle on that one, so this is my own power supply, obviously. Still nothing though. Still nothing. Still totally dead. Okay. Let's dive deeper. That would have been a little bit boring if that was the case. If it was just a power supply. The jobs I get are never that simple. Not usually. Okay, so let's take the heatsink off then. Just see how many times I can stab myself. It's not too bad. There we go. Awesome. Okie doke. So, in terms of dust, this thing doesn't look like it's been overheated. I can't see any signs of any damaged components, so liquid damage is pretty much out of the question. Yeah, so it doesn't look like there's any liquid damage. Right, okay, so let's go under the microscope then, and we'll see what we can see. Okay, so the first thing I want to do then is I want to check the 12-volt rail for short to ground. And the way that I'm going to do that is by using the 6-pin input connector. So the 6-pin input connector, we have two rows of pins. The top row is the 12-volt. And this one here, so these 3 pins are all 12-volt, and these 3 pins are ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop my multimeter into continuity mode, That's the mode that's going to beep when we complete the circuit. So I'm going to put one probe on the 12 volt rail and the other probe on ground, and we get a 13 ohm short to ground. 13 ohms. Okay, right. So 13 ohms to ground, that's almost a direct short. So basically what that means is that somewhere on the power regulation area, so somewhere around here, we have a short to ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the multimeter into diode mode. So I'm going to pop the red probe on ground, and the black probe I'm going to pop on the end of this MOSFET, so this pin here. And we're reading 681, and I've just realised you can't see that. So this pin here, the top left, reading 0.681 volts. So let's flip the leads around, and we should read about 1.9. And we get open line. So that MOSFET could be bad. Okay, let's do the same for this MOSFET here. And we get 0.098, so that is a dead short to ground on this MOSFET here. Right, yeah, that's a dead short. So if I just flick over to the, let's just pop the microscope camera on, or the normal camera, there we go. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to read. So that's actually mirrored, but that actually says 0.09 volts. So that's a dead short to ground on MOSFET number 3. So if I just show you the motherboard, the MOSFET that I was looking at, I actually skipped this one by accident. So this one was reading open line, and then I skipped that one by accident, and that one is reading a direct short. Let me flip this camera around because it's doing one nut. There we go. Right, so hopefully that's fixed it. So this MOSFET here, pop one probe on ground, and we get 0.092 volts. So that's a dead short to ground there on that MOSFET. How about this one? Where are we looking? And that one's reading OL as well. So the reason these two are reading OL is because we have an issue with number 3. Usually. So what I'm going to do is, as we can see here, when I pop these probes, one probe on ground and the other probe on 12 volt, we get a beep. So that's a dead short to ground. So I'm going to take my heat gun. I'm going to warm my flux up because it is currently around about 12 degrees in here, if not colder. Pop some flux on there. Let's go back under the microscope cam. I've got some flux on there. So I'm going to take my heat gun. And we're going to get rid of that Mosfet. So now we've got rid of that Mosfet, let's just clean the area up. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch back over to the main camera and we're going to see if that short has gone. So 1 probe on ground and 12 volt and gone. So that short is now gone. So let's take a brand new Mosfet then from in my pack of Mosfets. And I'm going to pop back under the microscope cam again. So I'm going to hold that in position there. I know it's not completely straight, but that's not a problem. Right, so I'm going to let that cool off for a second. There we go. Love that surface tension. Cannot beat that surface tension there. Excellent. Get rid of that stray ball. Okay. So let's just clean this area up then. Beautiful. Just clean up the area with some isopropyl alcohol. I'm hoping this is a nice easy video, to be honest. And then I'm just going to dry off the excess. Awesome. Right, so now that we're done with that Mosfet, that Mosfet was definitely bad, so that's been replaced. And now we're going to go into diode mode. Pop 1 probe on ground. And the other probe on this Mosfet. And we're reading 1.975 now. So let's just flick over to the cam and I'll show you that. So one probe on ground, the other probe on the Mosfet. And we get 1.987 and increasing. So the reason that's increasing is because the board is cooling down. So let's try the next one then. For whatever reason, I'm not getting a reading on that one. I'm not getting any readings now that it's cooled down, which is weird. Let's check for shorts to ground. So I've already got one probe on ground. We've got no short to ground. We have 40,000 ohms. No problems there. Let's just plug it in. Let's just plug it in and see what happens, shall we? Could be because the board's at an abnormal temperature that I'm not getting any readings. That's fine. Oh, we get a beep now. That's coming on. That is coming on. So, what I'm going to do, before I go any further, because I don't want to damage the board, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up the thermal paste off the board and apply some fresh. So let's just get rid of this thermal paste then. Put some isopropyl alcohol on there, just give it a nice good clean. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I like to do a good job. Okay, so I'm going to do the same for the heatsink as well. I'm going to give the heatsink a clean. Get rid of this old thermal paste and get rid of the dust from in between the fins. As many of you will know, most of my, well, all of the consoles that I repair, if the motherboard comes out, it does get the full cleaning treatment, because there's no point in putting it back together with dust in it. No point at all. Okay, so just going to give this a brush down. It's not actually too dirty, this this motherboard. Awesome. Okay, so just clean off the fan. Just get rid of as much dust as I can from here. I don't know where my paintbrush has gone, to be honest, so I've got to do it a little bit of a different way. I usually just use a paintbrush, but unfortunately at the moment I don't know where on earth I've put it. Never mind. There we go. Just clean around these edges as well. Cool. Some trusty MX4. Perfect amount. Okay, and then let's pop the heatsink clamp on. There we go. Right, what's going on with the fan? There we go. A little bit weird. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to reassemble this console outside of the case. And the reason for that is because if there is still any faults on it, I mean, it is turning on. It was turning on just a second ago, but if it dies again, which I have had in the past, then I'm going to want to be able to basically not have to disassemble it to take it apart again to get to the motherboard again. So if I test everything outside the case, it saves me some time if it does go bad, which I have had in the past. I have had it die suddenly afterwards, suddenly after I've fixed it, where there's been another underlying fault. So now I'll just test them outside the case. It's just a lot quicker. Okay, so let's pop all that in. So that's basically the console reassembled, just without the chassis. And also the Wi-Fi card as well, because we can test that. And I don't actually have a controller in the workshop, it's in the house. So I'm going to need to go and get one in a second. But first of all, before I do that, let's pop power in. And we get the half fan spin. I don't know if you've seen that then. But we get the half fan spin, which is great. And what am I looking for? HDMI lead, that's it. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to have to put it on an angle because this HDMI lead is fairly short. Can I stretch it? Yeah, there we go. Excellent. Okay, so let's switch over to my capture card then. There we go. Let's move. Whoops. There we go. So I'm going to switch the HDMI switcher to number 3. Okay, and let's turn it on. Fan spin. It should pick up on the screen. Yes. Yes, it works. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Right, okay, I'm going to go and get a controller. And we'll give this a full test. Make sure it's all working, and then we'll reassemble everything. Okay, so I've got myself a controller here. So let's plug this in. And let's see if we can get this thing tested. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit difficult because my USB cable is dodgy and I don't know where my new one's gone. So let's enable 4K. Let's keep that resolution, yep. Go back to settings and see what we've got. TV and display, yep, 4K, excellent. We've also got the option for 1080p. Let's check the network settings, make sure we can connect to Wi-Fi. Excellent. Right, so let's pop a disc in. Whoops, that was my fault then. Okay, so that goes in. Let's see if the disc loads. Might take a while, this disc's a little bit old now. It's not loading. Right, that could well be just the disc that's not loading. Can't hear anything wrong with the disk drive. Unfortunately, I don't know where my other test discs have gone. There we go. Here's a couple of test discs. So we've got Call of Duty World War II. Let's try that one. These discs are a little bit scratched up now. I think it's time to get some new test discs. I'm going to give one a clean with the isopropyl alcohol. Unless it's just not displaying the disc on the front screen. I don't know. That one's not going to work anyway. Let's give this disc a clean, because that disc that I've got in there now is a little bit damaged. Okay, we don't seem to be installing a disc for some reason. Right, I have had problems in the past where it's not connected to the internet and it won't load a disc. So let's try and connect to the internet. Okay, I've got to update the Xbox. Right, so I'm going to leave that to update and then we'll see what happens afterwards. That's a bit annoying. And we are back. Right, okay, so let's see if we can load a disc now. If we can't load a disc, then I'm going to have to contact the customer and see if they want the disc drive replacing. But other than that, there's not really a lot I can do because it hasn't been authorised. So, you know, it's one of them things. Hopefully it loads a disc. There we go. Okay, so the update has allowed me to load the disc. Cool. Excellent. Okay, so that's all that's left to do now is just to put it back together then, because that's working. Awesome. Right, okay, so let's shut it down. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so flip back over to the camera. That's off. So I can unplug these now. Okay, that's great news. Yeah, all done. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so let's give this one final test then, shall we? Just before we call it done. Okay, let's switch over to the capture card. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so let's just summarise then. So this console was sent in for no power. It was completely and utterly stone dead. And it seems like the console just randomly died, maybe through some sort of a power surge or something like that. But by replacing a 50 to 60 pence Mosfet, we are able to restore the power to this console and give it a new lease on life. And hopefully this console is going to last another couple of years at least. We can never say how long it's going to last. We don't know why it died, we don't know what happened, so we can never really guarantee any amount of time, although I do offer a guarantee on any repair that I do perform. But these MOSFETs literally cost around about 50 to 60 pence each when you buy them in bulk. I will leave a link down in the description to where you can buy these MOSFETs from both eBay and on DigiKey, where I buy mine from. So I buy mine in reels of 50. I can't remember how much the cost. I'll leave it in the description. Well, I think it works out to around about 50 pence per MOSFET, maybe even less. I don't know. I can't remember. And I buy them in bulk, so I'll get them a lot cheaper. But if you just want to buy a couple, you can buy them on eBay. Unfortunately, I don't buy enough where I can supply them, but I might start doing that in the future. I don't know yet. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. If you do have any comments or questions, let me know and I'll do my best to get back to you. You can also get in touch with me on social media and by email. I'll leave those details in the description as well. And if you do want to organise a repair, then be sure to get in touch and I'll see if I can help you with your repair. If you want to see more Trying to Fix videos, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so that you're notified every time that I upload. Moving forward, I'm probably going to be doing more other random stuff rather than focusing just on consoles, because the new consoles are coming out in a couple of months. I have pre-ordered mine. You're not going to want to miss the teardown video for that. I'm going to be doing a live teardown on day one, and hopefully I don't break anything. So yeah, be sure to get subscribed so you don't miss that. And that's pretty much it. So thanks very much for watching, and until next time, see you later. Bye for now.